Japan loves drinking. I know Japan doesn't really have this reputation of a hard drinking country, but if you come here, you'll see how much people like drinking. They have alcohol almost everywhere. In fact, I believe Burger King at some of their locations are actually serving alcohol there. Don't just take my word for it. Look at this survey by the Pew Research Group. In it, they ask people, is drinking acceptable? You can see the answers up above. In fact, Japan was #1 in drinking acceptability in the world. But I know people are asking, well, Japanese people are okay with drinking, but what makes it such a great place for drinking? Another reason that Japan is such a great place for drinking is the fact that besides beer, other alcohol is cheap. It's much cheaper than other countries. So a lot of the things in America, like for example, Johnny Walker Black Label or some other kinds of expensive alcohols are cheaper here, which I was shocked about because most things are much more expensive in Japan. Another thing is the different types of alcohol they have in Japan. So before I showed you a video about sparkling sake, which is great, but also they have normal sake, they have shochu, which is kind of like a distilled rice-based alcohol. It tastes similar to vodka, or in this case, it doesn't have a taste like vodka. And you can mix it with other things to make your own kind of like drinks and cocktails and things. It's very good. Another one is umeshu, which I love, which is like a plum wine. They have other types like apricot wine, etc. And then they even have some other ones you don't see that often, but are also good, like awamori, which is made in Okinawa. I believe it's also made from rice, and it's very, very strong. I think it's maybe 60% alcohol or so kind of like Japanese moonshine, but it's good. And then every once in a while you see some weird thing like, for example, this, habushu. If you don't know what this is and you can't tell by the label, this is made with snakes. So I think they make it in a similar way to awamori, but they take a snake and put it inside, or they use snake venom or something in it. So you can have some snake venom alcohol, so can't go wrong with that. Maybe. The next reason that Japan is such a great place for drinking is Japanese people generally tolerate drinking and being drunk. So I told you they sell alcohol everywhere, but also if you're kind of drunk in public, although I don't say Japanese people love it, they aren't as hard as in other countries. They're not gonna, arrest you or call the police just because you're stumbling around someplace. And in fact, you can actually drink on the street too. So I think that's kind of a nice thing. You can walk down the street drinking a can of beer or drinking shochu or something, and nobody will think anything of it. I think lots of times Japanese people work really hard, and during the week they're tired and they want to relax, so lots of times when they have a chance to drink, they drink the alcohol and then they get wild and they're able to let all that stress out by drinking. So I think that's why so many people love drinking, and it's such a part of Japanese culture. But one of the other things I thought I would talk about is nomi hodai. If you don't know what this is, it's all you can drink restaurants or bars. You can go in there and for a certain amount, usually between 1,000 and 5,000 yen, which is like $10 to $50, you can drink as much as you want for maybe 1 to 2 hours, depending on the place. So most of these places, they don't allow you to drink whatever you want, but they usually have a selection of maybe 2 or 3 different beers, some whiskey, and maybe other types of alcohol like umeshu that you can try, and you can just order as much as you want and keep drinking and drinking and drinking and, get tore up if you want. And so this is kind of nice because in America, they don't have anything like this. I'm sure all the places that did this would go out of business, but in Japan they do. In fact, it's not even a rare thing. They have them many places. Lots of restaurants have this service, and karaoke has this also. So you can go into like a karaoke booth, you rent it for 2 hours or something, and you can sing and you can also drink as much as you want. You can order 2 drinks at a time, 3 drinks at a time. You can go nuts. In fact, I have many times. Maybe too many actually. But there's also kind of a bad side to this. Because so many people are drinking, lots of people take it too far. Many people in Japan actually have maybe some kind of problem. I don't know if it's genetic or what, but when they drink, their bodies can't break down the alcohol properly, so they become very drunk very quickly, or they become very sick very quickly. So this is kind of a problem for some people. And other people don't have, high alcohol tolerances, so after a few drinks, they're 3 sheets to the wind. And oftentimes you'll find in Japan, people will just pass out. I was shocked by this. In America, it's rare to see somebody passed out outside of their home. I'm sure many people that are watching this have, thought of a time when they're drinking and you get home and you just pass out on your floor or something. But in Japan, people pass out any place. For example, last week I went out and I saw a man passed out. I know some of you are thinking like, oh, at a train station, maybe somebody's drinking and they couldn't quite make it home, or like, oh, you went to somebody's house and they were passed out. No, this was in a supermarket. The person was passed out in the middle of an aisle in a supermarket. And it was 8 o'clock? It wasn't like it was late at night and he'd been drinking all night. It was 8 p.m., so at most, he could have been drinking maybe 2 hours? The people in the store had to drag him out of the supermarket, and I don't know where they took him, but there were some nice people to do that and not just, throw him out of the store. So I guess they helped him, and I guess he's okay. But this isn't an uncommon thing in Japan. I've seen multiple times where people are passed out places where they shouldn't be. When I first came to Japan, I went to a nightclub, and everyone was dancing, and then I looked over, and I saw somebody just laying on the floor. And at first I thought, oh no, somebody got shot, I gotta get out of here. But then I saw him breathing and I thought, what's going on? And he was just passed out drunk and he was, lying in a corner and nobody really did anything. He was there for maybe 30 minutes or more, just passed out in a corner. Nobody did anything. So I guess it was okay with the club, but I thought it was strange. And the same thing, at least 2 times I've seen people passed out in the streets in Japan, which is really dangerous. I don't mean passed out like on the sidewalk. I mean in the middle of the street where cars are driving, there's somebody just lying on the ground and not moving. So one time I saw this, it was in a suburb, so it's not quite as bad, there's not so many cars, but I saw this once and it happened in Shinjuku where there's tons of people and tons of cars, and luckily somebody alerted the police and the police dragged the person out of the middle of the street. So good job, police officers. One thing I do have to say, police officers in Japan are not that bad. They're actually fairly helpful, so they won't beat you up or pepper spray you for no reason. In general, they're pretty nice, so if you are drunk, maybe they'll help you out. Unfortunately, I can't get into every great thing about drinking in Japan, but if you have a chance to come to Japan, or if you like drinking and you're thinking, I'd like to go on a vacation someplace, put Japan on your list of places to go. There's not only lots of fun things to do, like lots of beautiful nature and anime and manga and technology. Also, drinking is great in Japan. If you want to have a fun time with your friends and you want to go someplace for a trip, come to Japan. You can drink and have fun every day, any place. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want me to do a video about any kind of strange alcohols in Japan, let me know. But until then, see you. If you enjoyed that video, subscribe. Also, feel free to comment down below and check out some of my other videos here. Or is it